building. And then you go in one entrance and you come out of the other. You know, and you know, little thing that popped off and cool thing like that. The bug house thing. But to get in and out, you had to push your way through like a wind tunnel, and yeah, and you can you barely had room between your head and your foot to get out of it. So you had to push real hard, and I used like three people to get me out of that place. It was horrible.
Well, happy Halloween.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
having
you, Tony.
having festive experiences. Well,
Welcome
welcome.
to the program, parents of a 13-year-old today.
Oh yeah. Hey, wait a second. How does that work?
He was born on Halloween Day.
Oh, all
Today's his
right.
birthday.
Yeah. So he just turned 13. One of our good friends' birthday is today, and so her kids call her a witch. I don't know if that's for her
Oh,
birthday or
yeah.
not, though.
Hi.
Well,
Hello, everybody.
welcome. Happy Halloween. This is our Halloween meeting by coincidence. I decorated our screen space with some jack o' lanterns. I don't know if you guys got to look at those.
There's a spider in my square.
There is. It's step away. No, don't worry. It's not venomous.
My image is mirrored though.
I have I have hit the stream button, so we are public, and I've already started recording. And Fred was having trouble with his volume, and he returned yet? I don't. I think he turned off to try and turn on again and see if his mic. But if I forget, I've got some instructions right here in front of me for helping with his iPad volume on the microphone. You are mirrored,
Bill's
Paul,
gone again, too.
and Bill's gone again. Has has Bill still been having? Is this still his computer that's causing him issues? There's Fred.
Yeah.
Hey, Fred, say something. Without you're muted. Turn on your microphone and say something. Okay.
His finger doing something.
I oh
There.
Okay,
oh much better. What'd you do to fix it?
I'm on my iPad.
Oh, but I thought that's what you started on.
No, I started on my computer and then went to my iPad.
Oh, okay. Well, then I've got the wrong instructions. I found the instructions for turning up your microphone on the iPad.
Okay,
But that won't help on the computer. Well, you're coming in clear. You sound great on your iPad.
that's good.
So, this is the San Carlos Computer Club on a festive day of Halloween. I don't know if you guys get to see my hat? I've worn it before. My mom made it for me for Halloween. It's
Oh,
I also dressed up for you guys. I put on. I thought Bill's not here yet, but I thought he would appreciate my genre mixing, synchronizing. I was hoping to turn this off. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see that. Walking Dead.
you walking? Oh, jeez.
The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So Scott, did you ever look up filth music?
I did, but I didn't come into I didn't find a good source for like a genre source to look for different. I found some examples of it, but I didn't find like a channel of
Not on
look.
YouTube.
No, I found various examples of it from different people. I found an analysis of it, but I didn't find like turn on the flick. It's flick, is that right? Flick. Turn on the flick station. All right, Bill, I wore this shirt for you. Can you see it? The Walking Dead.
I have a feeling you can't
He can't hear me, I guess. Is he the cook today? Is that his hat?
But it's, do you know what Fe is on the periodic table?
Fe?
Iron.
Iron, yeah. He's the Iron Chef? That's awesome. Bill, you can't hear us, can you? No?
It sure doesn't look like
No, it sure does. That is a blank stare.
Bill, can you hear him? He's talking to you.
That computer needs some serious care, Bill.
Mulligan said that when he's finished doing things on computers, he's going to take his laptop and toss it in the Sea of Cortez. Yeah, so
He's done with all this streaming stuff.
him and computers, he says, in general, don't do well. So this has been a challenging time for him.
Well, in typical fashion, we're unorganized, and I have brought a couple of topics here that I thought we could go over. Not so festive as the banner I put above our screen. But I am always interested in what you guys are bringing to the table. Does anybody have any tech news? Oh, you know what? I've got a recommendation that is a tech topic as well. At the top of the hour, does anybody have any recommendations for? Bill's back.
I want to announce that technically I'm back. I'm back.
All right.
Among the living.
Hey, here's Judy. Hey, you know what? Now that Judy's here, let's talk about this Tuesday meeting return, which I'm happy to do. I just need to get everybody on the same page. If that works for everyone else, we will return to Tuesday meetings, probably at 9, though. No reason to be 9:15. The kids are already in school by then.
We change our clocks this weekend, so we'll actually be on the same time as San Carlos. So what time is it going to be? It's going to be 9 o'clock San Carlos time on Tuesday morning.
That's what we're talking about. It looks like Judy's frozen up, though. In classic San Carlos internet speeds.
Let me log off and back on.
Oh, there you.
You're working now.
Oh, or unless you said that a minute and a half ago. I think Google's messing with Google Meet because Paul came on. It was just the two of us, and I was watching him talk and waiting for the audio. And now it's cleared up between Paul and I. Hey, Judy's back. Say something, Judy.
I muted. I'm back.
All right. That's awesome. You're coming through really good now.
And,
So I had to stop myself from making a political comment. I don't think anyone in this group at the moment would have a problem with it, but still inappropriate.
Exactly. And I do have a worker here, so I may have to go in and out. So.
Okay, well, when you popped on, it reminded me that we haven't had a formal conversation about changing to Tuesday. And so I was just proposing it to the people that are here that we move the meeting back to Tuesday at 9, which is fine with me. It used to be at 9:15, but I'm proposing we do it at 9 because it doesn't really matter at this point.
I'm all for it.
I'm good with it too. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be this Tuesday. Yeah, let's make it this Tuesday. Does that sound good?
It's election day.
Oh, that's a perfect day for us to do it. I'm sure we're going to be in a perfect mindset for technology.
Okay, California's going to change back. That'll mean it'll be 8 o'clock for me.
8 in the morning? Let's see. I wonder what Oh, you know what? We don't have any Alaskan friends on right now. They are the last ones to change.
I have to get up before breakfast.
What?
It looks like, isn't Stanley on?
Stanley's on.
Is he in Alaska?
oh,
I,
Stanley's in.
in Anchorage right now, I think it's an hour behind us. So I think Anchorage is at 8 o'clock right now. Is that right? Time in Anchorage. Don't you love Google for everything?
Sure,
Time
you
in.
can ask him.
Oh, that's a good idea. Hey, Pop.
Good morning.
Good morning. We were just discussing moving these meetings back to a Tuesday time period, since there's folks that are back in San Carlos doing things on Saturday mornings. And I'm completely okay with it, but we were trying to determine what was the best time. It looks like it's 8 o'clock where you are now. What time would it be on Tuesday?
Do you change your clocks tonight?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
we
so
do.
do we.
So you're going back, so it would be 7, is that right?
Right.
Well, that's pretty early for the Alaskans.
Yeah, actually, 8 o'clock is pretty early, too.
Let's see. What if we were to make it a 10 o'clock meeting?
10 works good for us.
What about for the rest of you on the panel there? 10 o'clock.
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
So Stanley, you'd have time for breakfast beforehand if we do it at 10.
Oh, yes, if you do that at 10, well, that's a problem, too, because we have activities at 10:30.
So Judy, the Alaskans would be doing it at 7 in the morning if we do it at 10. Or if we do it at 9. Say
That's pretty early.
yeah.
I'm not in Alaska, so I don't have a vote on that. 10 o'clock's good for us.
10 o'clock works for you?
Now, yeah, so it'll be 10 o'clock. San Carlos time will still be 10 o'clock, yeah.
Okay.
I hate time changing. I hate time changing.
Oh, this is ridiculous. It would be 10 in Arizona, Stanley. Do you have a day you don't have activities at 10?
Yes, Sunday.
Sundays. No. Yeah.
I'm in church then.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. I was going to say, Bill, your church, can it compare to my church? It's You could be with me every Sunday morning.
The Church of Deadly Sarcasm.
Oh, here comes Maggie. Well, Stanley, what if we do it at 10 and like I'm typically here early inviting people to join us like at 9:30. We could run it from 9:30?
I don't care. It's up to you guys. We can keep it on Saturday too. I don't really care. No, let's go to Tuesday. I like the Tuesday plan. We just have to nail down the time.
Yeah.
Coming in, but I'm assuming you're talking about changing the day, and I'm for Tuesday over Saturday.
Okay. Well, I think Tuesday is a due, and we're just trying to figure out with the time change and the time zones across our group, what's the best time in the compromise so far has been 9:30. But what if we were to say an official meeting at 10? And then Stanley, you're welcome to join me at 9:30 because I'm here. People like Bill and Paul and I tend to get here early, and we'll just expect you to leave halfway through for your. Or Tuesday. We're talking about Tuesday.
So we're doing 10 o'clock on Tuesdays?
I think Stanley's making it clear that's fine with him. And I don't see anything but
10
Okay,
o'clock too late for me, but I'll go with the majority.
I'm making an executive decision here.
okay.
10 o'clock too late for me, but I'll go with the majority.
I'm making an executive decision. 10,
Okay.
I'm
moving on to
Bill. Bill, where'd you go? Cheryl, you're coming in fine. I can see you moving. Can you say something, Cheryl?
There's too many people speaking over each other. I think that's why we're breaking up. There you go.
So can we just go back and revisit the time again? If we kept it at 9 o'clock, it's gonna be the same. I mean, for people, whether we moved it or not, the Alaska people, it's still gonna be really early.
I think 10 o'clock is just fine. How about
Maggie, vote 10.
10
What?
o'clock?
Well, Maggie's saying she can't be involved at 10 o'clock. Jim, go ahead. What was your...
I'm good with them.
You're good with 10?
I'm good with 10.
Me too.
Majority rules.
You know what the Indians say about
We'll miss you, Maggie.
you know what the Indians say about daylight saving time? It's like cutting a foot off the bottom of your blanket and sewing it on the top.
That's a great analogy. Well, you know what? Why don't we try it at 10? And if it just doesn't work for a number of us, then we'll re-explore another time.
Good plan.
I mean, if the Alaskans don't show up at all, then it doesn't matter, really. Right. Well, good. Okay, it's settled. And our next meeting at the new time. Kathleen, welcome. I hope you've caught the tail end of this.
Yep, I did. Thank you.
So we're
Perfect.
we're moving to Tuesday at 10. And who knows how much any of this is going to matter, because November 3rd. Oh, man. We should almost do it on Wednesday.
We'll all be in a tizzy on Tuesday.
No, that won't work, Scott. It'll either be too high or too low.
Yeah, we're going to definitely need a week off before we see each other again after Tuesday.
No. It's more like we're either gonna be really up or suicide.
Or suicide. Yeah.
We're Canadian. We're Canadians. We're just bystanders in this whole thing.
Abused bystanders. I think bystanders is a really polite way of saying collateral damage.
Like Trump says, they're not bystanders, but stand by.
Right. Well, as well, did you guys see here in Sonora, they are laying down new restrictions?
Yeah, I've heard rumors. What are they going to do?
Well, there's a whole laundry list of things that are changed or reinforced, but in a nutshell, there's a curfew. Nobody's supposed to be out after a specific time or out early. I think the curfew is something like 10 to 6 on weekends, 8 to 6 on weekdays. There's a thing that's going to happen with the bars and clubs, so like the Atina, places of that nature. There's supposed to be no more operations during this time period.
Is that in effect already or no?
After the 2nd, Monday, it's supposed to take effect. which is a bit disappointing because I've been watching every day our numbers, and we have really low numbers here locally. So I suspect that we're going to have some really lousy enforcement of the state mandated recommendations.
And where did you read that? Because I was looking this morning and didn't find anything.
Uh,
I saw it in 4 different places yesterday on Facebook.
Emilio Clausen, you know what I should have done? I look in that group San Carlos expats with COVID. I think Kathleen or Kathy just reposted it there. That's where I saw it, and then I just reposted it on my timeline. But it's Emilio Clausen, the Secretary of Health for Sonora. He has posted this. They're in meetings a couple days ago, and he's posted this up in Spanish, and Facebook will translate it automatically.
Well, plus I was looking, Radar, Sonora, and those, and they didn't say anything about it.
Oh, really?
It would affect La Palma, wouldn't it?
Stanley, you're very, very quiet, but I can see that you're speaking.
Yes. Oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, that's much better.
I think what would that do to La Palapa? That would almost close it down, huh?
Well, the restaurants are going to be asked to operate at a much lower capacity than they have with social distancing. So
The term that I read was nightclubs and dance halls.
Yes.
So, and anything inside, there was a limit on how many could be in if it was an enclosed. Like La Palapa is basically open, open air.
Yeah.
And so,
Cheryl, did you see anything about beaches? I didn't see anything about beaches.
It didn't really say about beaches. It just said how many people were allowed to gather inside. The hours of closure. If you're going to the grocery store, it was one person per family. Kind of the things that, like, I know Jim and Linda have been doing all along. And I didn't see anything that was really, really different. But I liked your point, Scott, where you said if they don't enforce this, then when it does come time that they're going to try and enforce something, they're not going to get the respect or what they need.
Yeah, that's really my biggest concern, is that this really trying to enforce this local, or in stating this for the state and not giving us leeways locally. Like there've got to be other places like our municipality that are just not a problem.
And then I saw another post where it said like the curfew and everything, and it listed the municipalities, if I'll use that word, or the areas where it was going to be in effect. And like San Carlos, Guaymas was not included.
Oh, I have not seen that. That's interesting. So it would make sense not to include Guaymas, and that's my point, is that if you're going to have these kinds of mandates across the state, and then not have any enforcement of them, then there's not going to be nobody's going to be paying attention to these rules. They're not going to take them seriously. I use the analogy of our speed limits, how they're posted so low, nobody ever tries to drive that slow. Why would anybody pay any attention to these mandates if there's not anybody out there enforcing them? And nobody's going to be out there enforcing them because there isn't a real reason locally. Locally, we don't.
But as soon as you start making those exceptions, then it's not a rule. And there's more exceptions than there is. And it just leaves people, one, confused, and two, militant.
Well, I'm hopeful by what you've said. I'll go and look for that information about excluded municipalities for these rules. Because
it wasn't included. These are the places where it is in effect.
It's in effect.
If you're not on that list,
then it's not in effect.
It just creates questions.
Well, there are municipalities around Sonora that are doing horrible, and so it would make sense to have it in effect for those municipalities. It's just the fact that there's a list to check for that is a good deterrent from people ignoring all the rules. Say, oh, of course they're not.
In our province, like our provincial health officer makes rules, but she puts into effect, this is what it's like in schools. Right now, we have our two major cities that are in more lockdown than the rural areas because of, one, access to ICU units, medical, taxing of the system, and the other, the outbreaks. We had Thanksgiving, and 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, we have 600 new identified cases a day, the most we've ever had since May. So we said have small celebrations for our Thanksgiving, and it didn't work.
Wow. It's, yeah. I've been following the numbers every day, and they're really low. And what I find very difficult is you have to put your mind in the mindset of 2 to 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The behaviors that were happening 2 to 4 weeks ago are the results we're seeing now, as far as infections and deaths.
Well, our countrywide, our prime minister said that we are to reduce the number of contacts that we have, or if you're a business, you have to reduce the capacity by 25%. Well, that would mean that Bill and I have to spend about 6 hours a day apart because we're only the two people. It's kind of hard to reduce two people by 25%,
Yeah, be very careful. If you're isolated by yourself, you don't really need to reduce your company anymore.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to stay 8 feet apart instead of 6.
There you go.
Well, I just wanted to give you an update on that. If you guys that aren't here in San Carlos or just got here or haven't been paying attention to what's going on in San Carlos, all of the above, that's where we're at right now, is that they are locking us down again. Curfews, restrictions, and closures are happening again. Yeah, Cheryl, you saw the same information as I did, and I'm afraid I don't have it in my brain. Did you happen to see how long that was proposed for?
Oh, I don't know that it had a date on it. I'll just bring it up.
Yeah, I knew that it was starting on the 2nd, but it eludes me at the moment when we were going to readdress that. The border issue is an agreement between Mexico, United States, and Canada, and they've been saying November 21st for those borders. But this is a state thing. Oh, Judy, did you want to add something?
That article that Kathy Bereza translated,
Yes.
just says the state still remains in yellow with additional clauses.
So that means starting on the 2nd, and we'll get back to you.
Yes. And then it says Monday through Thursdays, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., like you said. Fridays and Sundays, restaurants and bars are from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Closed.
Yeah, and private parties are closed, as I read it.
Yeah, and quinceañeras, bodas, or weddings, those kinds of, those are limited in size. I forget the numbers.
And it says clubs and nightclubs must temporarily suspend their activities.
So
the one I'm reading, it says shopping malls should only receive a maximum capacity of 30% of their capacity. I like this one. For the protection of the health of children under 10 and people over 65 years of age, it is necessary to restrict the entry of this population group to closed places where more than 10 people are concentrated.
Wow.
So if you're under 10 and over 65, no more than 10 people allowed in a closed area.
Wow.
Now this is the state one.
Right, right.
Hopefully a mask and sunglasses will hide your age.
Well,
Well,
I
I went
again,
to
it's
get-
hard to imagine the enforcement of this locally, and I'm just afraid of how that shifts the culture locally. Because people know we're not getting infected locally. I mean, at least not yet.
Now, we isolate ourselves by getting food deliveries from Vons and, of course, Amazon. But I heard that Santa Rosa and Walmart deliver in Guaymas. Is that true?
Yes. Yes, you can.
So I wonder.
Delivers? Nice.
Walmart,
Walmart, I know you can do pickup.
they do pick up as well. And in
As far as
fact,
I know, yeah.
I was talking to Kathy about it because she's used it a couple of times. You know, who posted that article. She told me that the only complaint she has with Walmart is that you don't have any real control over the produce, and so
Right.
it's whoever's doing the picking. It's really how they're feeling about. And if I
Well,
remember,
That's in the States too.
yeah.
It's so different. I mean,
So that was the only
You're at the
complaint
mercy
she had
of-
with the service. They brought it right out to her here in the Ranchitos.
Wasn't Tammy doing something about food delivery back in the beginning?
They started out the first couple of weeks we got shut down. They pivoted to doing those kinds of services for people, but I don't think it got much uptake to keep it going. I think people
What about
found they're
Santa
all.
Rosa?
I'm sorry.
Santa Rosa?
Santa Rosa's is delivering. Is somebody just said that?
I said it,
Oh, okay, Paul.
but I heard it.
You heard it. I'm sure they've got something. I haven't personally used them at all.
So, Judy, would they allow the delivery to come into the park?
no. Well, now they are. We're not under quarantine.
Oh, okay.
So they've taken the quarantine sign down, so we are not under quarantine.
Do you have anybody deliver to you?
No, I go to Walmart and I go to Santa Rosa, and I just went and picked up vegetables from the dragon fruit farm from
From
Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your going, were you pleased
I'm going.
with the experience? Like, you go into Santa Rosa's, you feel safe. You go into Lay's, you feel safe.
I've not been to Lay's, but I feel much safer at Walmart and at Sam's Club than I do at Santa Rosa.
Yeah. That's
Doing their job. They take your temperature when you go into Sam's. You walk through the bleach thing or whatever it is on the floor, and they spray your hands in the cart. So I feel pretty safe at Walmart and Sam's.
good. Good. Yeah, I had heard that impression from other people in town, and I was just curious if you had the same impression as well. It's the
Santa
only
Rosa doesn't. They let too many people come in right now, so maybe they'll dial that back a bit.
They were for a while, they were limiting the number of people that could come in, and
Right,
they might have to start again.
right,
I've never been in there when it's crowded, but then I avoid it at noon
right.
and weekends.
Crowded. Yesterday I went at, it must have been 10:15 or 10:30, and it was relatively crowded.
Well, my only shopping experience recently is about once a month. I've been going to Sam's Club and Walmart and stocking up.
Right.
And that turns into a job itself. To stock up enough stuff that you don't have to come back until next month is actually quite a workout.
Well, and then I still sanitize everything when I bring it into the house.
I do
So-
too, and I've heard that there's very little bang for your buck doing that. I mean, what?
But I still do it.
Yeah, we can't stop doing it now. Now that we've ingrained it into our system, our workflow, it's hard to think of it even pulling it out. So why would we not do
Right.
it?
I'm still spraying down the veggies from this morning. So that's where when I disappear, that's where I'm going.
Oh. Well, so far this has been riveting tech topics for the Computer Club.
Riveting.
Riveting. We're blowing
You
the
said
doors
something
off.
about recommendations, Scott.
Yeah, let's go back to recommendations for a moment. I don't know if any of you brought your own recommendations. I brought a computer topic that I thought was a good recommendation for media consumption in the terms of a video on YouTube. It is a documentary done by DW. It's a German media outlet. You guys are probably familiar with DW. Not certain how they call it formally. Called Internet from Outer Space. It was just posted about a week ago, and it's really intriguing. It goes into the whole topic of satellites in an orbit, multiple satellites in an orbit around a service area, and how they're using satellites to provide high-speed internet to this area in Germany that's in the what do they call it? The Black Hills or the Black Mountains, where say that again, Cheryl.
Black Forest.
Black Forest. It was black something. Because of the way the terrain was laid out, it was very difficult to use conventional technology to bring high speed to their areas, and so they're going to be and they've already started. They're actually way out ahead. This group and now the name's evading me, but this group doing the satellites is actually out there ahead of the ones that we're more familiar with, the Amazon and the SpaceX programs. This is actually already launched out there, and they're doing it. They're tracking these satellites and providing high-speed communications for this area. It's called Internet from Outer Space, and I found it fascinating to watch. It's on YouTube, and I'll put a link on today's meeting if that sounds like something you guys are interested in.
Is that the one with what's his name from Virgin Airlines?
No, and you're right. He's doing one as well. What's his name? Richard Branson?
Branson.
Right?
Branson.
Yeah, it seems. What is he doing? This one was. They did not use his name at all.
Who's the one that's putting the satellite mesh up that keeps their...
Well, that's Amazon, that's Jeff Bezos, and that's SpaceX. It's Elon, and it's Jeff Bezos, at least in the United States, right? Am I wrong?
I don't know.
I know Musk is doing it. Is Bezos doing it as well?
Yeah, it seems like Bezos is doing it as well.
Okay.
In fact, that'd be a great Google search. Let's see who is offering high-speed internet from outer space. It's a sci-fi topic as well. SpaceX with Elon Musk. He's all in the news.
Well, I know SpaceX has just launched their beta program, and you can sign up. It's $100 up front. And,
Starlink
some
is...
amount for...
Sorry, Jim, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to say it's SpaceX's offering is called Starlink.
Right.
And the Martians are offering too.
Am I wrong about Bezos?
Hey, Scott?
Yes, sir. 4 billion new customers. Amazon
space
Internet.
related. It's not.
Well, this is Space Club, so it has to be a space
not,
topic now. I've changed the whole
It's a
meaning
space
of why we're
topic,
meeting.
but it's not internet related.
Oh.
God, I think it's rather extraordinary that we don't even really pay much attention to it. But NASA chased down an asteroid, landed a satellite on it twice, gathered up a few rocks, is now returning them home.
I saw that.
It's going to land in Utah.
Well, probably what we should talk about is how little coverage
Utah's
it
got
got.
enough rocks.
We should be jumping up and down and dancing. That's amazing. We're living in the future.
Yes, exactly.
We really are.
I'll be
Well-
back in a couple of years.
That and the fact that Elon Musk launched a Tesla into the space, it's orbiting Earth. Besides that,
We're living in the stupid future.
The Tesla has a dummy in it, but it's the wrong
that
dummy.
we are.
Right. Project Kuiper. Kuiper. I don't recognize the name. Amazon wants to launch thousands of satellites so that it can offer broadband internet from space. This is from last year, and the project is called Kuiper.
How many satellites are up there already? Thousands?
Oh gosh, I would think so. Especially these kinds of satellites are coming online quickly all over the place. These little, like the size of your toaster, satellites that can go up. Project Kuiper.
Oh, we're going to get toast from space. That's good.
Candy already do that? Didn't John?
Toast from space. Well, they are planning for
wasn't there a
3,000 plus satellites, 3,236 satellites. But it doesn't look like they've got anything orbiting yet. But that's Amazon's plan. So I had heard of Amazon's, I had heard of Starlink, Musk's plan, but I had not heard of this other company that was in this documentary, and apparently they're up and already doing this stuff. And now I can't remember the name of it.
Oh,
So
there's one called OneLink.
oh, is that the one? Maybe that's
I
the
don't
one I'm
know.
talking about.
There's a program that I have, and I'll have to think about it a minute, that sits there and tells you about not only the satellites that are up there, but the space junk. Like there's a wrench rotating around the Earth, or that somebody lost, that type of thing. I'll see if I can find the program.
They covered some of that in this documentary. They had visuals, as you can imagine. Fred, I'm sure you've seen them many times before because you're probably into this stuff like I am. You see something about space junk, and then they put up this visual, and it's thousands and thousands of little pieces that they're tracking with computers. When they're talking about these pieces roughly going double-digit thousands, like 10,000 kilometers a second through the atmosphere. Maybe that's extremely fast. I don't know, but you don't want to get hit with any of those particles. What's a reasonable speed for a piece of debris to be orbiting the Earth? Anybody
Depends
know?
on the orbit.
But thousands of pieces. And in this documentary, the satellite manufacturers were talking about how these were disposable satellites. They were going to be up there for 5 years, and then they would slide into the atmosphere and burn up. An interesting paradigm where we are.
Program,
I'm sorry, Fred, what was that?
that program is called Skyview, and it's a good program.
What is it? Sky what?
Skyview?
Skyview.
Skyview.
Yeah. It'll sit there and show you as you point your computer or
Your phone,
iPad
your
or
tablet.
a certain direction. It shows you what constellation is there. It'll show you what
Okay. Yeah.
IIS, all of that. It's a pretty good program.
But you're saying that program will actually show you space junk as well?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Space junk? We've seen satellites and stuff, but I didn't know about.
Well, it sits there and, this is a rocket body that's floating around and stuff like that. And it's from satellite such and such,
Oh boy.
tells you what went up there and 1962 or whenever it was, and it's still orbiting.
Is that a free program?
Yes.
Yeah.
To track.
It's all a hoax because the Earth is flat.
Absolutely. It's flat.
Yeah, so's my screen when I have it up there.
Obviously flat. Look at this screen.
Obviously.
How could they model the
There
Earth
are-
on it? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just ready to make wise ass remarks. What were you going to say, Judy?
There are two different apps available on the App Store for my iPad. One is the Lite, Lite version, and the other one is to pay for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's probably an ad in the light version.
Yeah, it says in-app purchase, so I'm sure there is.
But that's cool. I hadn't heard that you were able to trace. I've got a sky. I don't even know what it's called on my phone. I whip it out whenever we're looking at the sky, and I can see that's Mars. That red dot I should have recognized in the first place. Without the app, we'll verify it is Mars. What is the name of it? Star Tracker.
That's the one I use too.
I don't use it because I think it's a great app. It's just the first one I found. I think somebody actually recommended it to me, and I didn't bother to go out and review apps. It's just as often as I need to use it, it works, and it's got an ad in it. But I hadn't even thought about using one of these for space junk, and that just opens a whole new world of interest for tracking the sky. I'd like to, we've opened up our roof. I'll lay back on a lounger and look for space junk right above San Carlos.
I'm downloading it now, so we'll see what happens.
That's awesome. That's kind of like diving shipwrecks from your lounge chair.
Yeah, I do. I think it's really neat because I don't remember from one year to the next how things look so differently down here.
Okay, Scott.
Well, you know what? This is awesome.
If you if you're using your app,
yeah.
If you're using that app and you're tracking a space junk and the dot's not moving, what does that mean?
It's coming at you.
Yeah. It's coming down.
It's coming right at you.
It's coming right at you. That's right.
So you better move over a few feet.
It's not junk, it's an asteroid, and it's not supposed to hit till November 3rd.
No, if it's not moving, it's in synchronous orbit.
We were in a recommendations mode, and I like the Skyview app as a rec. I'm going to check that out myself. And if you're interested in internet from outer space, I like this documentary. I'll put a link to that. We also were talking about, what else were we talking about? Jeff Bezos, I guess. That's not worthy of this discussion. Was there any other, this app or this recommendations section is open to all apps, web pages, services, TV shows, movies, music, anything you've been doing recently you think the rest of us might find interesting. Does somebody have something else they'd like to add to this list? Judy?
Well, it was a little disappointing that yesterday we tried on Stermio to watch Mandalorian, episode 1 of the next series, and we could not get it to stream.
Don't tell me that. That's how I'm going to watch it. In fact, no spoilers if you have watched it, because my family hasn't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet.
Well, it seemed like it was working on Bill's computer, but it wasn't working on the Roku TV that we've got the Fire Stick in. So I was trying to do Stermio on Fire Stick on the TV, and it just was buffering. And then it did kind of start, and all we got was previously on, and then it all froze up, and away it went.
Now, first, I'm putting Mandalorian on the recommendation list. I should have came up with that. I'm disappointed in my Star Wars self. I can easily recommend it without having seen the season 2.
I thought I saw that it was on Netflix.
No,
it's Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Get Disney Plus down here. I tried and it does not work down here without a VPN.
You are right. So how are people watching The Mandalorian legitimately in Mexico?
I don't know, but you know they are.
But I know they're using things like Stermio to watch it, but I wonder what they're using to watch. Or has Disney Plus come to... That's interesting. Mandalorian. The Mandalorian. How to watch in Mexico. It's going to come up with Stermio. You know what? I think... Oh, that's funny. Can I watch Disney Plus in Mexico? Google says install a VPN.
Oh, well,
It does. It says step 1, install a VPN. We recommend Surfshark. How to watch Disney Plus in Mexico 2020 from Screen Binge.
Back onto the Streamio thing, I could not get Streamio to work. I didn't know what I needed to download. It kept saying you need to download all these.
You need to add
things.
plugins to it.
Yes.
So
the plugins are not the same as add-ons.
They are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do.
And how do I know if I put an add-on on? Add-on on.
Well, depending on the version you're using, I say that meaning the platform. Well, depending on the platform you're using, it'll be slightly different. It's the same concept, but the menus are laid out a little different, and the options are fewer or larger. If you're on a PC, you have the most options. If you're on a Windows computer or a Macintosh computer, then you have the most Stermio options available to you. Whereas if you're on an Android mobile device or an Android TV or a Fire Stick, then you've got a more limited set of features that are available. But you should find a place in there that says either add-ons or plugins. My mind just ends up putting the two of them together. Let me bring up Stermio on my computer here and get the language correct. But it should be a list of community add-ons. It'll bring up just a list similar to like an App Store list, and there'll be an install button. And I would install ones like the Pirate Bay. There's one called Torrentio.
Okay, so on Streamio, on the TV last night, I went to that thing and it said add-ons, and I had two places I could go, either all or community.
You go to community.
And nothing came up underneath it to add on.
Under community is where it should be. And maybe you're not waiting long enough.
Oh.
In Stermio, add-ons look like, they're called add-ons, and they look like a puzzle piece. That's kind of the visual language. In fact, here, let me present now. We're having impromptu Stermio presentation right now. Where's my laptop? That's not it.
Nope.
There we go. All right. Can you guys see this? So up here, this is Stermio on the PC. There's a puzzle piece in the upper right hand corner. If I hover over it, it says show all add-ons. And then this is a list of in this version of Stermio, because it's on a PC, I've got a menu on the left column. On the Fire Stick version, I think you have pull-down menus across the top. And you switch to the community add-ons, and a list like this will appear. And then in this list, you'll see buttons on the right side for installing or uninstalling.
Ah, okay. On the Fire Stick, it didn't look like that. Or maybe, like you say, I just didn't wait long enough.
Yeah, I've had that experience before on the Android devices, and you may just not have waited long enough. In fact, on the Android device, you have pull-down menus here for community. I think it starts on official, and you click on it and change it to community. And I think you may want to change that pull-down once or twice if you're not getting these results. These should just be popping up. But it can take a little while for it to propagate that list. There's no when I say they should just be popping up, I don't mean that they should happen instantaneously. I mean there's nothing else that you should have to do except wait for them. Bill, is that you? There's a lot of background noise going on.
No, it's it, Judy.
Judy, we're
is it me?
killing
Sorry.
your mic. I just killed her mic. Somebody else is having noises going on. Is that Jim? No.
No, it's Bill.
It's Bill. It is Bill. Look at that. We should turn our computer club into diagnosing Bill's computer.
At all.
What's that?
I said it wasn't me at all. It was all Bill's fault. But when I look at Stermio on my iPad, I don't have any of those options.
That's right. And it's because you're using an Apple device, and Apple has terms of services that don't allow those community add-ons to be included. And so on your Apple device, Stermio's virtually worthless in respect to using it the way we're using it.
Okay.
It has its...
Even if I do it through my laptop, it's going to be the same thing?
No. If you do it through your Macintosh laptop, it'll work like I've been showing you.
Okay,
it's
because I couldn't get anything but catalogs, Rotten Tomatoes, Torrent Freak top 10 movies, and they're just all catalogs. They aren't actual. Right. Yeah.
That's right. And so Stermio can be used for a lot of things, similar to Kodi. It can be used for a lot of things, but on an iDevice like an iPhone or an iPad or an Apple TV, you cannot use it the way we're using it here because of their terms of service and their app store and their lockdown, their walled garden infrastructure. But they have not locked down the Macintosh operating system, not yet. Not until they have changed their computers over to RISC chips, their ARM-based chipsets, which we're expecting starting the beginning of next year, which those computers will not be compatible with your old Macintosh software. But ironically, we have gone through a period of time now where you probably don't use your old Macintosh software anymore. You probably use 99% of your computer to do activities on the internet. And so there's a lot less outside of professionals in the consumer market, probably not even going to recognize that your new computer is so dramatically different from your old computer. It's just going to be faster and have better battery life and do everything that your other computer was doing, except run that really strange program that you might pull out of a drawer from 5 years ago. And then it'll be locked down. And be like, how come I can't run Stermio on my new Mac laptop? Well, they locked it down. What else do we have today for Computer Club? I do have, if you guys, if no one has anything to suggest, I did notice that Business Insider had a list of the top 10 things you should know today in tech. Now that is you, Judy.
That was me. That was Dionisio, not me.
Okay. And I put it in my list just in case we didn't have anything to talk about. And I thought I might just read one off after another and see if anybody's interested in these topics. The list starts with Alphabet smashed its earning estimates. Google's parent reports its third quarter earnings, revealing that revenues jumped a mammoth 14%. Their earnings beat Wall Street estimates at $38 billion. Facebook also exceeded third quarter expectations, $21.5 billion in revenue, up 22% year over year.
How does Facebook make money?
Advertising. Well, actually, they really make money selling your data to advertisers. But they're an advertising company. They're all advertising companies. Apple beats estimates ahead of the iPhone 12 launch. The firm beat revenue expectations for its fiscal fourth quarter, even without the boost it typically gets from every sale of its new iPhone. Are you guys sensing a pattern of where we are right now? When you hear the other spectrum of analysis on our markets, and you hear them say the stock market may be good, but you pull the tech stocks out of it and we're actually suffering. This is what they're talking about. Is these 4 or 5 companies are propping up the stock market in the United States. They've been doing gangbusters. It would be difficult to say it's completely attributed to COVID, but what has happened is COVID has put them in an accelerated position. They've stepped up their game. We saw ourselves moving in this direction with these technologies, and overnight these technologies were needed abundantly. And so all this online shopping, online education, online business has just been very prosperous for all these different companies. They aren't doing anything they weren't planning on doing. They're just doing it a whole lot faster because of COVID. Amazon's net profits tripled. Amazon sales grew to 37% to $96.1 billion in its third quarter. If you're really curious who's making all the decisions, it's these 4 companies. Even Twitter did better than expected. This is when you're supposed to say, well, how does Twitter make money? It's advertising. Well, and they sell your data. It's not as impressive a number, though. It's only $936 million in revenue, but it's up 14% from last year.
Trump is propping that up.
Yeah. Well, and at the same time, he's jeopardizing his own platform because, well, I think we mentioned it last week that both sides of this political spectrum we're on have taken a position with Section 230 that would make Twitter liable for anything Trump might say on its platform. And so there's this misconception on how the 230 works could, if they were to take it away, could render the platform useless for Trump. The very thing that's made him so popular, he could lose because of fear for liability of what he might say on it. Did you guys see that ByteDance, this is the company that owns TikTok? You know, the TikTok controversy? TikTok is, I see Paul shaking his head. You know, the TikTok controversy is that they could be spying on us, and that's why the Trump administration has gone after them and threatened to shut them down. In case you're curious, with a TikTok update, my daughter has not missed a day of TikTok, regardless of what the president says. TikTok every day is working just fine in the United States and other places in the world. But apparently, TikTok's parent company ByteDance has leased over 62 megawatts of data center space in Northern Virginia. Just a quick headline. I haven't done any research on it. It does bring up some interesting speculation. On the one side, that could be a totally contrived deal that our government has played a part in to make sure that TikTok doesn't get shut down, feeding into our economy. On the other hand, it could have absolutely nothing to do with Trump and threatening to shut down TikTok, and have more to do with putting data centers as close to our intelligence centers as possible. Just don't know. Just seems like an interesting thing to keep track of.
Like a conspiracy theory, kind of.
Kinda, yeah. But from Business Insider. No, I joke. They're not the one with the conspiracy theory. Maybe I am. But they are the ones with the headlines that they have bought 62 megawatts of data center space in Northern Virginia. It's an odd heading. I don't actually know what 62 megawatts looks like as far as a data center. I guess that just means that's how much power it's consuming. But in this day and age, I would imagine that's a lot of data processing, because everything has gotten quicker, faster, smaller, using less power. So 62 megawatts sounds like a lot. What else do I have on? You guys can stop me at any time if any of these are interesting you. Netflix prices are going up again. Netflix is to raise the price of its standard and premium 4K plans in the U.S., while basic plans will remain at $9 a month. So those of you with multiple accounts that you let your friends use or you're using, those are going to go up in price in the U.S. I think if you have a tie to Mexico, well, if you keep this in mind, if you've got an Infinitum account here in Mexico for your internet, you have a Netflix account. It comes bundled with your Infinitum. Nothing about Netflix has made us feel like they're region specific. So I imagine you can, I haven't tried this, but I imagine you can take your Infinitum Netflix account to the United States with you and use it. I know that if you signed up for Netflix in Mexico, it works in the United States. So why wouldn't your Infinitum Netflix account work in the United States?
But how do you get onto Infinitum Netflix account? You must create a login or something?
You do. You assign an email with the login, but the Netflix is geo-aware, sees you're on a Netflix account, or sees you're on a Infinitum service, and immediately gives you access. So when you start up your Netflix app, then am I saying this right? Then it asks you for an email address. You do have to set up an account. I'm getting it confused with Claro Video. I'm sorry. I'm confusing it with Claro Video. You do have.
I was going to say, when we had the Infinitum internet in one of our rental houses, I found that Claro was a place where I could, but I never saw anything about Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix, they started doing Netflix, I think, last year.
Oh.
I think they started doing Netflix right before, I think they started doing Netflix at the beginning of this year. I was going to say, I think they started doing Netflix before we were in quarantine. I want to say like in February. I'd have to go back and double check, but it became part.
January. Yeah. In Carlos that had cable, mega cable.
Okay.
Internet. So
yeah, the Netflix thing became part of the package that they were selling with Infinitum, and I can't remember now how you set it up. I got it confused with Claro Video. Is that easy? You bring up the app, it asks you for an email, it sees you're on Prodigy and immediately, or sees you on Infinitum and immediately authorizes your account for use on your device. Then you can backtrack it to the website, and you can set up a proper Claro Video account, which you can install in your other devices and carry around with you. I believe.
And you have to buy the one that the actual plan that has Netflix, though.
That's right. You do have to buy the plan, but the plan, it is offered with all the standard plans that people get.
Exactly. The 499 peso a month plan, you get Netflix, Claro, unlimited calls, Claro Drive, that I don't know what that is besides Claro Video, and you get an antivirus for $4.99 per month.
Yes. The Claro Drive is cloud space storage, similar to OneDrive or iCloud.
So you get 100 gigabytes of storage as well.
I've never taken advantage of it.
But I'm wondering if that is not what the plan is that I have now.
I bet it is. I think that most people in San Carlos are paying for a Infinitum plan that includes a Netflix account that they're probably not aware of, that they can take advantage of. I imagine it's the most basic plan, like you can only run one device on it. In fact, does it say right there? You're looking at the Telmex packages. It may say right there how many Netflix streams can go at the same time.
I don't see. Oh, there's Netflix. Hold on. It looks like I do have. If I do, they're validating my data right now.
Well,
whatever my data.
Get validated.
Congratulations, you have high speed, and you're one of these people that can do Claro Video. But I haven't yet found if I have Netflix. I'll have to look at that.
Well, that would be a fun thing to find out for the Tuesday meeting.
It would
Those
be.
of you in San Carlos, if I think about it, I'll try it myself. But we should have anybody that's paying the $4.99 price for internet in San Carlos also has access to a Netflix account. And what I'd be curious about is there any limitations on using that Netflix account anywhere else in Mexico, the United States, or Canada?
Right.
My assumption is no, there wouldn't be a limitation. All right, I'm running out of the top 10 things you should know about tech today. How about hackers?
Scott, I have a question.
Sure, Paul. Go ahead. And then Judy.
Okay, I have Cox Internet here in San Pedro, California. And so we have a modem and a router. And my computer is down in my laboratory downstairs. So I have an extender to boost my signal. So my sister-in-law, who is our local computer guru, said that there's some other type of system now that's available where, and she thinks the word web is involved in the name of it, where you don't need the extender. Have you heard anything like that? An alternative way to broadcast internet throughout your house?
Well, maybe the word she's thinking of is mesh.
Oh yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked about those in the past. Things like the Euro device that Amazon now has and sells. They bought that company, and so that's an Amazon product now. There's also Linksys has a product. Boy, the name is escaping me at the moment. Orbi from Netgear is another one of these mesh products. TP-Link, which many of us became familiar with down here in Mexico. They're a Chinese branded networking product that we see here locally all the time. They have a very deeply discounted version. I have not had the pleasure of setting it up. I'm really tempted to buy it to get experience on it because it's almost a third the price of one of these Google Wi-Fi's or Euros. That was another one. Nest Wi-Fi and Google Wi-Fi. Nest is owned by Google, and so they're offering both products.
So, but it works just like an extender. You plug it in to an outlet somewhere else in your house.
Well, it works in conjunction with other nodes. Probably the best way to think of them is typically they are all the same level of device, and one of them is plugged in as a master, and then you distribute others around the house.
Oh.
And in a traditional extended infrastructure, you have a centralized point and you run an extender out on an arm, a virtual arm, right? Like maybe at the bathroom you still get Wi-Fi, but in the bedroom past the bathroom you don't. And so you stick an access point at that point at the bathroom and it extends the Wi-Fi. However, if there's like the yard outside needed internet, then maybe that extender would no longer, it wouldn't be good for that example. It might be on the other side of the wall of the bathroom, but it's still not getting through. So, or maybe it partially gets through, or depending on whether the door is open or not, it gets through. I mean, maybe those kinds of circumstances. The traditional extending topology is one of a star, where you have a centralized point and you're running links out. Whereas in a mesh, it's like a web. So each access point sits at the same level, working data back to your internet connection, that main point. So maybe you've got one in the outside on the patio, and you've got one in the guest room, and you have one near the bathroom. And at any given moment as you walk through your home, one may be easier to get back to that master better than the other. Or it could be that passing through 2 or 3 hops is actually faster than going straight back to the main one, because straight back has more interference. They actually have a faster connection, hopping through the bathroom, hopping through the patio, hopping back to the master, because each one of those little hops has a great connection. And so the overall throughput is much higher than just going straight back to that one device. And those are the options you don't get with the traditional extending technology.
Yeah, so it switches automatically from one node to another.
That's right. Whereas in a traditional extended environment, you would almost manually do those kinds of switching yourself.
Yeah, I have my choice of the master or the extender. The master has a weaker signal.
That's right. And what you'll see very common 5 years ago, and we're still using, is that I still use it in my house. You walk from the back of the house to the front of the house, your internet gets crappy, you hop off of the master, you go to the extender, and now your internet's good again. Sometimes your devices are intelligent enough that you can use the same name around your house, and they'll bounce. They'll see, oh, this is a stronger signal of the same network, and hop on to that extender. That is a feature of your device, not a feature of your network. And so that's a hodgepodge of experiences that are good or bad. This mesh handles that for you. Not only does it do the switching automatically, but it has the range of a variety of radios. So if it's getting interference at data is divided into packets. You send out a packet of information, and each packet is getting judged for quality as it's going to the master. So that when it's broken up, that packet can go this direction or that direction or right back. every one of those decisions is basing on how effective that path is. And that path can be formed by a variety of different radios. It can use traditional Wi-Fi, or it can use its own proprietary Wi-Fi. The newer ones will have what is it? Ultra wideband, UWB, as an option in their Wi-Fi mesh. And so these are Wi-Fi schemes that have never been used before in traditional extending of Wi-Fi. Traditional extending of Wi-Fi, you're limited to that 2.4G signal, the traditional 2.4G signal, and the later 5G signal. It's 5 gigahertz signal, not the wireless carrier, not the cell phone 5G, but the Wi-Fi 5G. So your traditional extending networks were limited to those two frequency ranges, those two standard ways of doing Wi-Fi. Whereas these proprietary mesh networks have their own systems for talking between their own nodes. And so they don't interfere with traditional Wi-Fi, and they're not messed with by your neighbor's Wi-Fi bleeding into your Wi-Fi. That's why you get such great throughput through them, is they can make all these decisions very quickly on their own for each piece of data, trying to make the best connection possible back to the main
Sounds good.
connection. Yeah. To answer your question, Paul, I hope that answered your question. Was there any?
But see, my extender is a Linksys, and every time I want to get on the internet, I have to reboot it.
Every time you want to get on the internet, you have to reboot it.
Yeah, I have to pull it out of the socket and replace it.
That sounds like an extender issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in a traditional world, like me 5 years ago, or me right now, if it's my equipment, I would check and see if there is a firmware update for it. So maybe it's a software issue that they've addressed with a firmware update, and I would update the firmware on it. I would do that for customers if everything about their infrastructure is working fine, except for a glitch like that. Maybe there's a firmware out there that will fix it. If that is a persistent problem, it might be a good reason to upgrade your infrastructure. Because this mesh stuff is so much more reliable and so much more user-friendly that you can set it up yourself. Even if you need somebody like me to help you set it up, you can manage it yourself. The Google stuff is really neat because in the palm of your hand with your Google account, you can turn on and off devices. So if you've got kids, you want to limit their internet, you can see them sitting on the internet, and you can just knock them right off the internet. Very cool stuff. You can set it up. You can buy services that will set it up. I think it's the Euro has services where if unknown activities are happening on your network, they'll flag it and send it to you as warnings, thinking your network's getting compromised. They'll do the administration of malware and antivirus at the point of entrance into your network. So these mesh networks are really neat. They're really working hard to be consumer friendly and very, very reliable. And they're taking me out of a job. But I'll always have the job of helping people answer their questions. So I'm here for that. Where are we? Do we have any other topics? I've been going through my list, and the last one on this list, which could be really interesting, and I'll put a link to the Business Insider list if you're interested in doing further reading on any of these headlines. But this last one is, dun 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 dun, hackers stole from Wisconsin's Trump campaign. The Wisconsin's Republican Party said hackers stole $2.3 million from a fund dedicated to Trump's re-election in the key battleground state. That right there is worthy of further reading. Not that I'm plugging Business Insider for anybody. They won't. They don't even know I exist. So I don't care whether you read them or not.
I thought Judy had something.
Sounds like she's getting a new kitchen.
Oh, I thought she started to ask a question just when Fred did, or when Paul did.
You're right, but she's definitely not with us at the moment, is she?
No.
Scott, I have a comment on your last Insider.
Okay.
The only thing that would make that story better is if they donated it to the Lincoln Project.
You're right. You're right. That was a. Did you guys see that 60 Minutes on the Lincoln Project? That was a great expose on what they're doing. I didn't realize who they were. Say that again, Bill.
When was it on 60 Minutes?
I think it was last week or the week before. It was very recent.
No.
They did a.
Last week was Trump's interview.
Oh yeah, so maybe it was the week before. Well, wait a second. If last week was the Trump interview, well, how did they fill the other 50 minutes?
With Pence. Pence came in and talked.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He only gave him like 4 minutes, 6 minutes.
There's enough of this.
Hey, you know what I love about that? Is how fragile that snowflake was. Everything that's old is new again.
Everything.
So, bring up another subject.
Certainly.
I downloaded 14.1, the latest.
Oh my gosh,
update.
you should be one of our main topics. Go ahead, Judy. How's your experience been?
So far, okay, except that last night I was looking at something and my whole my whole iPad went black, but then it came back on, so I don't know what it was doing. But anyway, it seems to be okay. I don't know what it did. It didn't look like it was anything really important, so.
This is 14.
So I did it.
Is this 14.1 or 14.01?
14.1.
14.1. I know nothing about it right now. Didn't even realize it had been released. I really need to get some products in my world again.
14.1. And don't forget, I have that iPod if you want to meet at the gate or anything.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Awesome.
Okay.
Hey, here's an article right here. Should you upgrade?
It probably says no, but I did it anyway.
It's probably not going to help you, this article.
It didn't do anything. No.
Yeah.
And
going backwards is a real pain on Apple products.
I know, and I don't have to. It's fine. And and then the second thing, I thought that I could do my driver's license renewal remotely, but since we're in yellow, they have made you go in. But again, I had a very good experience there for the most part. You walk up to the driver's license place and you walk through the water bath that has bleach in it, I guess. They spray you down, they take your temperature. They only allow one person in with you. I couldn't take anyone in with me. So I get back to where they renew the driver's licenses and they say to me, now this is all in Spanish, of course, and I'm there by myself. And they say to me, well, your driver's license birth date is not the same as your birth date. After 5 years, I had never looked at my license to see that the birth date was wrong.
Oh, wow.
It was the 19th on my driver's license, and my birth date is the 18th.
Oh, my
gosh.
gosh.
That was a hassle. So they said, well, we need your birth certificate. And I said, I'm 73 years old. I don't have a birth certificate. And they laughed, And I said, no, it's in Colorado. It's at the bank. Well, can't somebody get it for you? No, they cannot. So they didn't want to take my passport. And I finally talked to the head woman who talked to somebody else in Hermosillo. And yes, they finally accepted my passport. Then I had, because I'm over 70, I had to go and get a doctor's statement, which was very interesting. But all said and done, I do have my new driver's license, and it is good for 5 years.
Now, this is your Colorado driver's license or your Mexican driver's license?
No, sir. This is my Mexico license, my Mexican driver's license.
That's amazing. They got your wrong birth date on your original.
5 years ago. Five
Wow.
years ago.
So,
What's amazing is
so
that
Judy,
look at it. Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
say that the whole experience aged you at least one day.
I think it must have. Maybe that's why the date was wrong. But no, it was quite an experience, because they were going, no, we can't do this. And
I think Bill's onto something. I think it went way too easy for you at DMV 5 years ago.
Because I used somebody that's upstairs and around the corner to do it, and I just didn't pay attention. But it's very cool. You go up and
This is Judy's.
What's that, Bill?
Judy's version of daylight saving time.
That's right.
I said it's Judy's version of daylight saving time.
Exactly. So that was pretty stressful, especially when I went to the medico. And of course, he talks really fast in Spanish. And I kept saying, slow down, slow down. And he would just rattle it off until finally he said, your blood pressure is really high. And I said, yes, I know it is. I've been at DMV since 8:30 in the morning.
Yes. What an appropriate answer. Of course it is.
Of course it is. So anyway, that was.
And I'm a day older.
That's right. I have found out I'm even a day older.
Well, and besides having to get on the scale, having my blood pressure taken, all that kind of stuff that I really don't do. No wonder I'm stressed out. Anyway, I have my driver's license, all is good. They did ask me why I cared if I had a Mexican driver's license. And I said, because I'm here and I want to be legal.
Right.
And that kind of gave them pause.
Well, they're not accustomed to that, at least not here locally.
Exactly. That gave them pause. Talked to a really nice guy who spoke great English. He lives in the country club. His name is Augustine Lopez, maybe.
Hey,
nice guy.
You know the reason that you want to, I've never gotten a Mexican driver's license, but the reason you want to get a Mexican driver's license is they won't take it away from you.
That's right. And had I had my correct birth date on the original, it would have been a slam dunk. It just would have been gone right through. But no, it was like 2.5, 3 hours at DMV.
You know what your story reminds me of is the time that a plane came down here when we had planes showing up in Guaymas.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows up to pick people up. I had friends that were going back on that plane. And they couldn't bring people back because they showed up without an inspection certificate that they should never have been able to leave the United States without. And it became a really controversial issue there at the airport. But basically, a San Carlos worth plane load of people had to cancel going out that day. And they were trying to figure out how this plane was going to get back for its inspection because it should never have been able to leave without it. So it was such an unusual place to be politically, or regulation-wise, that they weren't even sure how they were going to get it back. It had something to do with the pilot because they had to have some special procedure to fly the plane back. And the whole time we were there waiting to find out what was going on, the news we were getting was hold on. And then in the end, okay, the plane's going to be able to fly back, but you guys are going to have to come back tomorrow to get on a plane to get out of here. Some inspection. But
I did hear a rumor again that flights are going to start into San Carlos again, or into Guaymas again. I say rumor in all caps.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't believe it until there's a plane in the air.
I won't believe on the
We
ground.
we know of some people that are obviously not the same kind of Canadians as we are. Anyways, they flew in a charter plane from Calgary to Guaymas.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking into it, but no, it's not in our price range.
Are these the folks that shipped their car?
I don't know if they shipped their car. No, I think that was somebody else on the website. But these are we know one couple, and they said, well, they got on with these other people, so they're pickleballers.
Well, we are degrading down into local gossip, and I have run out of topics. Is there anything else that we need to get in for this particular meeting of the San Carlos Computer Club? Is there something?
Did everybody hear that Sean Connery passed away?
I know.
What? No, I didn't hear that. When did that happen?
This morning.
I was busy getting ready for Computer Club. I wasn't paying any attention to the news.
He was 90.
Really? Wow. What was the? I mean, he was 90. That's the reason he passed
90.
away.
That's the reason.
He was what?
He was 90. That's the reason.
Yeah, that's the reason. It wasn't COVID.
I don't know, but he was 90. I think there's never been a better James Bond than Sean Connery.
Yeah, we were big fans. Big fans. That's really sad. I'm going to be looking that up immediately. Sean Connery died. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Sir Sean Connery.
That's only 10 years away from me. That doesn't sound good.
I have farther to go than you. Bye. Say hi to Peggy from me. Bye.
See you, Judy. Thanks for being here.
I will. Nice to see you, Judy.
Bye.
Well, with that, I think we're going to call this meeting to an end, and we will regroup again on Tuesday at, we said 10 o'clock Arizona time, to continue the San Carlos Computer Club. It's always a great pleasure to be with you guys, especially today on Halloween. This is probably the most people I'm going to see for Halloween, so it's good to see you all. Have a Snickers bar on me.
We will miss seeing you and the kids in the park there.
Yes. Actually, you know what we've done for the kids situation is we have put together a trick-or-treat route of families that have been practicing safe socializing. And we're doing a socially distanced trick-or-treating where we will have bags labeled for specific children sitting out away from a place of residence so they can go to a porch and pick up a bag for themselves. This is so people don't have to come in contact with anyone else. So we've got a half a dozen families that are doing this, participating in this thing. I say we, and I should say my wife. She's the one that's put the whole thing together. Actually, that's not true. I put together the invitation. I did the photoshopping. Yeah, Pop.
I just wanted to get some clarification. You're going to switch to Tuesdays, but it'll start the week after next Tuesday?
No, it'll start on Election Day.
It will, okay.
It will. You're welcome to join us. I don't know how you're going to be, though. I saw this great cartoon that showed a man and his dog, and he just bought the dog a barking vest. You know, one of those impact vests that you wrap tightly around the dog so that it'll feel like it's being swaddled and calmed down. And he had gotten one for himself for election night, and he was sitting there in his chair.
That's good.
So we'll all show up on Tuesday with our vests on, ready to participate. And we'll have the Canadians laughing at us.
Scott, I want to talk
We're
to you
not
after the
laughing.
class.
Okay, Pop, just stay on the line.
Okay.
What did you say, Bill?
I said we're not laughing.
You're not laughing. Yeah,
Happy
you're
Halloween, everyone.
you're taking cover. Actually, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you guys go. This has been the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson. As always, if you're looking for computer help on the internet, I hope you get a hold of me. Oh, wow, look at that. I'm all frozen. I didn't even realize I was frozen. Wonder how long I've been frozen. You can get a hold of me.
Goodbye, everybody.
Scott at International Dad. Stick around. Scott at International Computer Solutions. I know why I'm frozen, because the battery in my camera just died. So I'm going to turn on a different camera to say goodbye. There we go. This is my overhead. So
We can see your slider.
That's
Say
right.
goodbye to the okay.
This is Mom's handiwork.
Yeah, what a great hat.
I love it.
Have a happy Halloween, guys.
Have a happy Halloween, Cheryl. I'm so glad you could join us this week. And that has been the San Carlos Computer Club.